Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You have tuned into the 11th hour, coming live at you from the Trobe Live Studios in Bundoora. It is the 2nd of May, and we have a big show for you today. I'm here with my co-host, Kristen. Kristen, how are you this morning?
I'm very well, Scarlett. Thanks for having me.
Oh, that's quite all right.
Yeah, definitely. I think we have a lot planned for the show today. I'm really excited. So, Scarlett, tell us, what do we have planned for the show today?
Well, today we'll be looking into what went down at the Fyre Festival over the weekend. Pretty catastrophic. The latest in British politics. Kristen, I believe you'll be bringing us some life hacks on how to stay warm throughout the winter.
I sure will.
We'll visit the famous cat cafe in Melbourne. And we're also bringing you our sport from our gurus, Brayden and Ryan. But first up, we have Lisa Berg with the news headlines. How are you going there, Lisa?
Good. I'm good. Thank you. Sorry. How are you doing?
Excellent. Thank you.
Good.
Some big news happening this week.
Yeah, there's been a lot going on. Finance Minister Matthias Cormann has said he is disappointed in Westpac Bank's decision to not finance any new Australian coal projects. In a statement released Monday, Minister Cormann said that for any major bank to essentially issue a blanket refusal to be involved in any financing is a very, very disappointing development. Last Friday, Westpac released a new climate policy saying it would limit lending to only existing coal-producing basins. Chief Executive of Westpac, Brian Hartzer, said in a statement, Westpac recognizes that climate change is an economic issue as well as an environmental issue, and banks have an important role to play in assisting Australian economy to transition to zero-emissions economy. Resources Minister Matt Canavan said called on Queensland banking customers to boycott Westpac. ANZ, Commonwealth Bank, and National Australia Bank have also ruled out funding of the new Adani coal mine. A 22-year-old Adelaide woman has been arrested in Colombia after 5.8 kilograms of cocaine was found in her luggage. Cassandra Sainsbury was detained on April 11th in Bogota on her way back to Australia. The drugs were allegedly found inside 15 pairs of headphones that Cassandra had purchased for friends and family a few days before her departure. According to her sister, Calla Sainsbury, the headphones were purchased when Cassandra was told she could get them for cheaper through a friend of a friend. The family has started an online campaign to pay for legal fees and insists that Sainsbury is innocent of the crime. Cassandra is being held at El Buen Pastor Women's Prison, the largest women's prison in Colombia. The family is looking to raise $15,000 for legal fees. Former Prime Minister Tony Abbott has said that the gender quotas suggested by the Australian Human Rights Commission sounds anti-men. The AHRC is floating a proposal in which the government would require contracted organizations to demonstrate efforts to improve gender balance with an ultimate goal of 40% men, 40% women, and 20% unspecified. While on 2GB Radio, Abbott said Australia does not need bodies like the AHRC bullying, hectoring, and persecuting. He went on to say, obviously we have to give women a fair go, but some of this stuff sounds like it's anti-men. Radio host Ray Bradley said the proposal is PC rubbish. American President Donald Trump is once again considering changes to libel laws. White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus said on Sunday on ABC's The Week that the Trump administration considered changes to libel laws that could limit certain freedoms of the press. This was after the president threw a rally in Pennsylvania instead of attending the White House Correspondents' Dinner. At the rally, he said, "I could not be more thrilled to be more than 100 miles away." President Trump has had a volatile relationship with the American press since beginning the campaign, frequently criticizing publications for printing what he says is fake news. The president has accused the New York Times specifically of misreporting his background as well as his involvement with Russia. A change to libel laws in America would alter the First Amendment of the Constitution.
Well, thank you for that, Lisa.
Thank you.
I'm sure the Washington press are probably thrilled to have him 100 miles away for a bit of a change as well. They can have a slight break. He's would assume he would be a very tumultuous president to try and be following from the press, especially with that Twitter feed.
Oh, yeah, exactly right.
Just hitting that Twitter feed. How do you keep up?
I can't even keep up with his Twitter, so I don't think anyone can, pretty much.
I always get confused between his real Twitter feed and the the fake Donald Trump Twitter feed, and I can never,
same.
between the two, I can never understand which one's actually him, which is pretty entertaining.
Oh, I do that all the time as well. It's pretty funny.
Now, this Westpac mining project is really dividing people, isn't it?
Yeah, and you're exactly right. So the Westpac's new climate change policy can either be a really harmful decision, but a big step for activists against coal energy.
Yeah, totally. Lisa, what's your take on the whole policy change?
Well, Westpac is going to continue to fund coal projects that are already in process. So they're not pulling out of the coal industry in general. They're just not funding any new projects to try to make a step towards more sustainable energy projects, which I think is good for the environmental, especially. I mean, we've talked about before what's happening with the reef and energy emissions with coal projects. So.
And I feel like they don't want to rip up any new ground, considering that a lot of people think that investing in coal is a very unstable sort of future. That's not too much money on it, sort of thing. And you know, in one hand we have the Prime Minister going to India, and I think it was just last month.
Yeah,
wasn't
that's
it?
right. It was last month.
He was there pledging to the mine, and now one of our largest banks aren't agreeing to go ahead with it. I think the other banks have also backed off.
Yeah, so it's a really big step that Westpac have actually taken, and I think it's a really good thing as well. You know, it's a very, very bold move. And Scarlett, I know you are from a Queensland town as well.
Yeah, I'm from a mining town in central Queensland, and I've seen firsthand there that it can have a really terrible effect if the mines sort of decide to pump all this money through a small community, and then
get it taken away, obviously. Yeah. Did that affect any of your family or your close friends?
Yeah, it did actually. I've had a lot of friends who have had to remortgage their houses. My personal family was affected. My mum had to close her business doors.
And what was her business?
Auto, electrical, mechanical.
Okay.
And a hydraulics and hose truck and a concrete cutting business.
It would have been a very, obviously, sad time for your family as well.
Yeah, totally. Everyone in the area sort of thing. And it's a bit of a ghost town now, my hometown, because they've obviously put all this money in, and then when the mining companies decide that it's no longer in their financial interests to have that money there, they just pulled out the resources, pulled the plug really, and left everyone sort of to fend for themselves.
And they didn't really support you guys in any way?
Absolutely not. No. The mining companies are never held accountable. So, you know, it's pretty nice for one of Australia's oldest bank, I believe, Westpac, to not fund it, because, well, you'd think that they would, because they're all about money, being a bank. But
being a bank.
And you know what? It gives the environment a voice.
Yeah.
As well, because obviously the environment has no voice for themselves. So at least we're not ripping up any more of our landscape.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly right. But there are obviously two sides to the argument as well. So our Prime Minister, Malcolm Turnbull, has pointed out that coal is one of Australia's greatest assets. And obviously taking out, or the Westpac obviously stopping the funding to Adani in particular, he's kind of saying it's a very, shameful kind of move.
Yeah.
But in one way, it's supporting the environment, and I think Westpac's done a really great thing in doing that and making that move.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, there's merit to that argument. If people want to make a buck out of a mine, sure thing. But like we were talking about earlier, there's the current federal government is meant to be investing in innovative strategies for our future, and sustainable strategies for our future. Did you catch the election? The election campaign,
right.
where we're all about innovative future investments.
Yeah.
Rah, rah, rah.
Yeah. And then they've, kind of turned around and said all these things about...
Well, fossil fuels don't have a future, not a sustainable future anyway. So it's just sort of long-term or short-term goals, really.
Yeah, that's right. And as well as that, we've obviously just seen Tony Abbott say some pretty shocking comments as well.
Yeah.
But
not too much has to be said on that, though, really.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that we can sum up Tony Abbott as being on the backbench and being a little bit out of touch with his constituency.
That's right, and poking his head in whenever possible, really. Yeah, exactly right.
So one other topic, moving away from politics. Thank you, Lisa, for that.
Thank you, ladies.
Not a drama.
Yeah.
So the weekend in the Bahamas. So luxury punters were left to feel the burn of a budget holiday when the much anticipated Fyre Festival was abruptly cancelled.
Yeah, and Scarlett, I don't know if you saw the original kind of look for the festival,
Yes.
but it looked amazing. All the top stars were going to be there. And
Think ladies in bikinis in the middle of the Bahamas.
yeah,
Paradise.
you've got Kendall Jenner, you've got Bella Hadid. Everyone's going to be there, and the festival really was a shocker. And people are saying, well, the rich bastards deserved it, so I don't know.
Right. Well, so it was meant to be a deluxe holiday, getaway festival, a festival that never happened, might I add, in the middle of the Bahamas. So beautiful, brilliant. People were paying from anything from $1,335 to $16,000, and some apparently VIP packages, $334,000.
Yeah, and it's just now looking at it.
Was it a scam? Some people were.
Yeah, some people are saying it was a scam, but from the looks of it, it looked pretty legit. Like there were obviously things there. Well, not very much. Obviously, you had the white tents,
The white fire
tents.
What were they? They were disaster relief tents.
Yes, yeah, environmentally friendly tents with 2 beds in, and pretty much that was all in the tent, really.
2 beds and a coffee table.
Yeah.
Luxury, absolute luxury. I watched some footage from it from a guy who was there on the day, actually, and the festival was meant to start and nothing was ready.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, no one on the island knew that it was actually going to be cancelled, which is quite interesting.
Well, Blink-182, who was actually supposed to perform at the festival, cancelled a few days before, so maybe they saw it coming. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I kind of saw it coming. If you kind of step back and think, how is this festival supposed to work in the Bahamas on an island, and flights going directly to the Bahamas?
But you think that if someone's paying $334,000, surely that's a couple of boats right there.
Yeah, you'd think that it would be prepared, but no, unfortunately, these poor buggers were stuck in the Bahamas. Some people even locked in the airport, not actually allowed to leave the airport, so they'd reached the Bahamas.
Which is so dreadful. Imagine just being stuck at the Bahamas.
Oh, just
dreadful.
There was actually a girl on Twitter who uploaded a video, and she was about to leave Miami airport, and obviously the flight didn't take off, but she was just standing there complaining. Oh, well, now I'm stuck in Miami.
Oh, devastating.
Oh, gosh.
No, to be stuck in the Bahamas. I wish I wasn't. I'm glad I was in, Melbourne and not stuck in the Bahamas over the weekend. That would have been dreadful.
Yeah, exactly right. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I think we'll throw to a story that we've got on the UK election. It's been a very interesting couple of weeks in the UK with the snap election coming up, and we have James, one of our reporters, with more.
On April 18th, UK Prime Minister Theresa May shocked the British public announcing a snap election when she promised that she wouldn't.
I have just chaired a meeting of the Cabinet where we agreed that the government should call a general election to be held on the 8th of June.
If she wins the general election, then Mrs May says she'll have the mandate to secure the Brexit deal she wants. RMIT's Dr Benoit Kampmark shares his thoughts on the snap general election.
You have to sort of say she is quite very much a tactical politician, and what she's done, of course, is to essentially eliminate any prospect of opposition to her style, if you like, of leadership, but also the strategy and the tactics in terms of getting the deal. She knows that doing so now, has caught Corbyn. She also has been told, and she has repeatedly said as well, that the Liberal Democrats will try to stop as much as they can.
The key to winning the general election for each of the parties will be how they would approach the Brexit negotiations if they were elected into power.
For example, should a miracle happen and, say, Corbyn win, he has certainly made it clear that the machinery of leaving will still go ahead. I mean, the mechanism will still be there. And he himself, of course, being a Eurosceptic for a long time, and having also been at odds, shall we say, more broadly speaking, with aspects of how the European Union functions.
Since Brexit, are we starting to see the emergence of far right-wing governments?
I think, well, there's certainly trends from both left and right, but certainly in the current climate, there is a populist heat wave, if you like, that's just absolutely catching the imagination of those in many countries, more from the centre, and then of course you've got Marine Le Pen, and you've got a series of movements across Europe, in Spain, in Italy. That effectively we're seeing a global movement, certainly in industrialised societies, where people are just tired of these particular aspects, and they want an outsider, as it were. They want someone at least perceived to be an outsider to actually run the show.
And thank you for that report. We actually have the reporter James Hurley here in the studio with us. How's it going, James?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you. So,
welcome.
This big snap election, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's come as a massive surprise because during the Brexit negotiations, and then suddenly to announce a snap election where you're trying to exit Europe is just a big surprise.
Yeah, that's
everyone just
right.
took it by a massive surprise. It was.
So for the viewers at home, you may not be able to hear it in his voice, but James is in fact from the
Yes,
UK.
I am.
Yes. Whereabouts are you from, James?
I'm from Amersham, Buckinghamshire.
Oh, there you go.
And I don't think that sounds like a real place, Kristen. I
No,
think he's just making it up.
I've heard way too many Mill Parks and South Meringues in my time.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you were involved in politics at all when you were at home?
Not so much, no. I was more focused on sport, but ever since I moved to Australia, I've been really keeping in touch with the British politics. It's really interesting at the moment.
That's right. It definitely is. And we've actually seen, Prime Minister Theresa May come out multiple times saying that she wasn't going to call an early election.
During her election campaign.
That's right, yeah. And now she
pledged to make sure she wouldn't call a general election before 2020. So why the snap decision?
Not too sure, really. She announced that she made the decision whilst being on holiday with her husband whilst taking a walk. So,
Well, isn't that romantic?
Most of my best ideas come to me during my evening constitutional, actually, through the park. With the corgis. That's interesting. So I believe it had something to do with Brexit. So she's quite worried that some of the opposing independent parties, as well as the opposition, are trying to divide Westminster in a certain way to
Yeah, I'd say it's more about strengthening her hand in Brexit negotiations. Like, she gets a majority so she can get the deal she wants.
Yeah.
Without anyone interfering. It's more about her.
Because I'm assuming that each party would have a structure which they would like to in place upon the Brexit negotiations to better serve their interests, I suppose.
Yeah, Labour actually decided they're going to go ahead with the Brexit negotiations. They're going to respect the referendum, but the Lib Dems are opposed to the idea. They actually want to overturn the vote.
Yeah, that's right, James.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, what do you think of that, though? Do you think that's... it feels as though it's too far gone to oppose the referendum.
No, they're thinking about holding a second referendum, but now that Article 50 has been triggered, it can't be stopped. Even the 27 other countries in the EU can't stop it either.
Oh,
yeah, well, and it was quite an overwhelming... Well, not an overwhelming majority, but it was quite a majority that wanted to go ahead with Brexit, was it not?
It was quite close. I think it was 52% to leave and 48% to stay. So it's divided the country quite a lot.
Yeah, that's right.
And now it's all about trying to get which party wants to be in the power to get the best deal for them. And Labour are targeting young voters especially.
Okay.
And since the election's been announced, 100,000 voters under the age of 25 have signed up.
Really?
That's a huge amount.
And back in 2015, in the previous election, 34% of the registered voters didn't vote.
Oh.
So that's
really
the real focus point in trying to get people to vote.
Is it compulsory voting in the UK?
No.
No. Oh, see, that's surprising. I thought it would have been. I heard you mention before Article 50.
Yes.
What is Article 50? Just enlighten us.
It's part of the Lisbon Treaty. It got brought into effect in 2009. It was introduced, to exit Europe, but no one actually thought at the time that it would be used.
Oh,
so
okay.
is it sort of a little loophole that they put into...
Just to start the formal process to exit Europe, you get 2 years to negotiate the best deal you want.
Oh.
Yeah, and if you don't...
Negotiating with Europe.
The European Union, yes.
I
If
see.
you don't get that deal in 2 years, then effectively you could leave with nothing.
Oh, dear. So it's like a messy divorce.
Yeah, it is. Very messy divorce.
That's such a good way to put it.
I hope they're getting the Ferraris from Italy.
Yeah.
You guys better protect your interest, guys. Oh, that's very interesting. Any further comments that you'd like to make? Like, what do your friends back home think about the whole thing? Or if not your friends, if they're more concerned with Tottenham or football?
I know. It's just I get loads of friends on Facebook debating should stay, should go. It's just creates a lot of division among people.
Because it's so divided. I can imagine a lot of your friends.
Very close.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And now France are going through the same sort of predicament where centralists, Emmanuel Macron, if I can pronounce it correctly, said if they don't reform the EU, they could be facing Frexit, as they call France leaving.
Oh,
Brexit.
yes, that's right.
Oh, okay, that'd be interesting. I actually saw a pretty funny article on BuzzFeed about all of the different things that would go. So different countries, what their exit strategies would be called, and they had Belgium. Oh, sorry, no, yeah, like instead of Belgium, like Belgium.
Oh,
yeah. They had some Switzerland, Splitzerland.
Switzerland. Yeah.
Oh, they've come up with the funnies. They're doing so well.
Well, thank you very much for
Thanks for having me.
for joining us. No worries. Thank you for the
worries.
report.
Awesome.
So yes, I believe now, Kristen, it is getting cold out there.
It is certainly getting
I came
cold.
to uni today and my hands were frozen.
Oh yeah, I'm stocking up on the pants, stocking up on all the pants and all the cold weather.
Buy yourself
goodies.
some woolly socks, kids. Oh, actually, I was thinking maybe we could actually throw to some winter special hacks that you have organised for us.
Well, I have prepared a few facts for you guys. I think we should definitely check them out. Let's have a look.
Oh, hello. Didn't see you there. My name's Kristen, and I'm going to take you through some lifelong facts that you need to know this winter.
Ever feel like you're going to catch an extreme cold and die this winter? Well, not to worry. I've got all the fun facts that you need to know to keep safe this winter.
Now, let's get right into business, shall we?
First off the bat, make sure you have a candle. Make sure there is lots of tea available. And try to enjoy it too. An all-time favourite, get into the bath with a few bath bombs. Stay away from the fridge at all costs. Get yourself a fireplace. Protect yourself from the cold with thick layers. That always does the trick. And most importantly, never leave your room.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of Life Facts, or whatever the show's called. Stay tuned for next time. I hope you've learnt something today.
Well, that was a very, very informative take on how to stay warm during the winter. You had some really valid points there. I'd never considered not opening my fridge.
I'm actually really surprised I'm actually here at the moment, because I did state in my video that you should never leave your room. Now, I do believe in this statement, but unfortunately uni is uni and the show is the show.
I would just like to point out too that she is still wearing her panda onesie. She's just unzipped it a little bit for the show, obviously, because she's a professional. You know what? Too, shutting the fridge or keeping the fridge shut is a great way to keep away those that winter warmer belly that you sometimes accumulate when you comfort eat during the winter. Don't open the fridge.
Don't open the fridge. And as well as that, I forgot to mention in the video, make sure you never, ever, ever, ever walk through the cold section of your supermarket, because that thing will kill you.
That will kill you.
That whole section in the
it is a wasteland in there. It is freezing.
God damn it.
It's Arctic.
Don't do it. Don't do it during the winter. It is the Arctic.
I am curious, what are your favourite kind of teas to drink and then spit back out?
Well, I don't mind tea. To all you people who are offended out there, I do actually really like tea. But I prefer chai, and the only thing that I had at the house at the moment is Earl Grey. So
yeah, who's buying the Earl Grey at your house?
Oh, God damn it, Nula. Yeah, my mother, she just buys Earl Grey all the time. And
I'm a big tea drinker. I like all sorts of tea.
Oh, what is your favourite? I put you on the spot.
Persian Royal.
What's Persian Royal, love?
It's a discussion for a later time, but it is delicious.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for that.
Oh, no worries.
I hope everyone, all the viewers at home, have taken some tips. I think we now have another bit of a bizarre story. I don't know if anyone out there or yourself, Kristen, has ever been to or heard of the Cat Cafe in Melbourne.
Yeah, I've actually been to the Cat Cafe in Melbourne.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, when it first opened originally, I think it was about maybe 2015, 2016. And obviously you've heard about it, or I've heard about cat cafes overseas in Hong Kong and in other, obviously in Japan and things like that. These cat cafes where cats actually roam around your area and kind of you drink your tea, you enjoy your time there. And they brought it to Melbourne.
It's quite bizarre because I don't know how they do the health and safety hygiene.
Yeah, well, actually, in the Melbourne Cat Cafe, you can't actually bring any food or drink when you're visiting the cat. So it's not technically a cat cafe, but
should we have a look?
Yeah, let's go have a look.
Are you a cat person or a dog person? The best small talk question that humanity has ever created. I've always been considering myself as a dog person, but honestly, I don't really mind cats. I'm kinda in denial when it comes to cats. It's like asking me if I'm gay or not. I'm not, but I don't really mind being gay. So to answer the question once and for all, I'll be spending a day at the Cat Cafe Melbourne. Join me in my adventure. Or should I say, cat venture. According to Australian Veterinary Association website, Australia has one of the highest pet ownership rate. Why do people want pets so much? Well, the first reason would be companionship. We all know a crazy cat lady who always waiting at the same bus stop as you at 5 p.m. every day. She's not crazy, she's just lonely. I understand the companionship. Well, won't dogs do a better job at it? I mean, they're more active and care about you more. Why cats? One of my many crazy cat friends said that, quote, they're just more cute, end quote. Well, that doesn't really help. After reading many online articles about cats and dogs, I have came to a conclusion. Cats are less a pain in the butt. They go to the toilet in a box and you don't need to walk them. I might turn to a cat person just because of that reason. After a day at the cat cafe, I think the main reason why people like cats so much is because when they give you attention, you feel more special. Cats do not usually show their love for their owners. But hey, that's just me. Even though cats are cute, and I do understand why people like them, I think I'm still a dog person. Or am I bipedal? Is that a thing? If it's not, it should. Thank you for joining me on this cat venture. Hope to see you again. Bye!
Just an update on the headlines. White House staff is considering changes to libel laws, which could include possible restrictions to press freedom. Finance Minister Matthias Cormann is disappointed in Westpac's Finance Minister Matthias Cormann is disappointed in Westpac Bank's decision to not finance any new Australian coal projects. Former Prime Minister Tony Abbott has criticized the AHRC's potential proposal for a gender equality quota. And an Adelaide woman has been arrested in Colombia after over 15 kilos of cocaine was found in her suitcase.
Thanks for that, Lisa.
Thank you.
Now, before we hop on to anything else, Scarlett, I want to touch back on to the Tony Abbott kind of saga that's going on. His actual comments were, or what he stated was, obviously we have to give women a fair go, but some of this stuff sounds like it's anti-men.
Yes.
And I don't think that's very I don't know. I think that's...
Yeah, if we look at it from a very bipartisan way of reporting it, personally,
that's the word I was looking for. Yeah,
I have a lot of interest in this as a woman who's trying to move into a particular field which is male-dominated still.
Yeah, that's right.
So obviously, I have my own personal thoughts about what he said, but if we look at it. Sort of from a bipartisan point of view, it doesn't make any sense because statistically speaking, there's no supporting what he claims is anti-men. You can't be intrinsically anti-men in a male-dominated realm, which is the world that we live in today.
Yeah, that's
essentially,
right.
and especially in professional in professional endeavours as well.
Yeah, and Scarlett, you were mentioning before as well, wasn't it actually a Tony Abbott government initiative as well?
Yes, well, the former Prime Minister fails to remember that he was actually responsible for the bill in itself coming out, or the legislation. It was actually under his supervision when he was the Minister for Women, believe it or not.
Yeah, believe it. You better believe
Unbelievable, believe it. When he was PM. So that was quite interesting as well. He obviously wasn't very familiar with his role, because it went undetected for him, and I think that this is exactly the kind of attitude that we're trying to get rid of to create a more equal workforce, saying anti-men and using all of these quite inflammatory terms.
Yeah, that's right. And obviously the gender gap has, come into the media quite a lot in the last couple of years as well. There is a huge gap, and I think tackling it right away is very important. But as well as that, it's people like Tony Abbott. There's a lot of people who have been in the media, obviously, as well, who have been kind of turning back on what they've said previously.
Yeah.
And, saying the complete opposite.
Well, I feel like that now he's out of the limelight. He's less concerned about what he says, or he doesn't have the filter on so much because he doesn't necessarily have to worry about the general populace and being popular enough to be re-voted in as Prime Minister, because I don't think that will be happening again anytime soon. Coming back from the dead with his political career.
Yeah, that's right. But not only that, Tony Abbott's come out and said a few different comments as well. He's kind of been backstabbing his own party a little bit.
When he was Minister for Women, he said he referred to all the women at home watching him on TV as all you women out there doing the ironing, watching the news. Which is what I do when I watch the news. I just iron all my shirts and my husband's shirts and my children's shirts because I'm a good housewife.
Yes, and I make all my children sandwiches for the next morning and make sure all the sandwiches are in preparation.
Cucumber sandwiches too, because they like to be healthy.
Oh, yeah, love that cucumber.
So just if you're tuning in now, it is the 11th hour. It is currently 11:33 a.m. Don't forget to follow us on our Twitter handle at the 11th hour _LTU.
Tweet us anything you like.
Tweet us anything you like. If you have any interesting ideas or topics that you'd like to hear us discuss on the show, we'd be more than happy to take advice from you. We're desperate for attention.
Exactly right. But now we have our fabulous sports gurus, both of them together as one piece again. Brayden May and Ryan Rosendale. Welcome back.
If you guys were to decide who would be the more sport guru out of the two, who would you choose?
Considering I was demoted for a week, I'd have to say Brayden, but, I might...
back to the twos, that's
I
where
wasn't going to say anything, but I thought that maybe Brayden was a bit more of a guru as well.
Yeah, all right. See where we are at week 12. Top of the ladder.
Well, speaking of the ladder, there was big games on the weekend in the AFL in a round that can only be described as how even the competition is. Hawthorn Sydney, two of the most successful sides of recent era, beaten again.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it was a big Saturday in footy. I guess Hawthorn, their third loss over 70 points, I think, and then Carlton upset Sydney at the MCG on Saturday. But then we're going to shift our focus to Sunday, where there was a couple of cracker games.
Yeah, Collingwood, I don't think anyone expected that. Geelong undefeated coming into the Nathan Buckley. He would be breathing a huge sigh of relief after that 27-point victory. It eases the pressure. Do you think his job's still safe?
I think he's got a long way to go. I think this week against Carlton at the G on Saturday is going to be a massive game again for Bucks. I think I rate him as a coach, and I think he's got an outstanding midfield group. I think where the team lets him down is just the forward line. I think they've been in every game. They haven't lost a game by under 20 points. So I think they're in every game they play, but I think they've just got to be a lot more smoother across the board. And I think Pendlebury post-match said that they just play with a lot more freedom on Sunday.
Is it the maturity thing, like up forward? Darcy Moore is a young kid and he's the number one forward. Is that a big problem? Does he need some help from Chris Mayne, who's on $500,000 a year and he's sitting in the twos?
Yeah, I think you can't be paying a bloke that much money when he's just sitting in the twos and he's playing VFL week in, week out. I think Darcy Moore he's going to be a star. We all know that, but he's only 21.
Yeah,
he's not at the peak of his career yet. He's got 2 or 3 years before he's going to hit his stride. And he's going to be a Josh Kennedy or a Tom Lynch. He needs a bit of support down there.
Yeah, that's a big call. And I think one bloke in particular, speaking to a few Collingwood fans after the game, they were big raps on Will Hoskin-Elliott, the young kid from GWS, starved of opportunities, and I can't believe how good he's just slotted into that side.
They've picked up another young GWS gun after Treloar last year. He came through and he just dominated last year. I think he ran top 5 in the Brownlow. Now they've picked up another one with Will Hoskin-Elliott. He's been probably one of their best forwards all year, and he's probably in the top 5 at their BNF at this point in the season.
And now we'll go across the country towards Adelaide, and it was a top of the table clash. And Adelaide, what is going on there?
For me, I know it's often said in footy that you can't win a flag in May or April, but for me, if they keep playing the way they are, they're going to do that to a lot of teams. Richmond were 5-0 as well going into Sunday afternoon, and they held Richmond to 4 goals after quarter time, and they kicked 16 themselves.
Yeah, that forward line is just unbelievable. I think the big thing, a lot of people are starting to notice, Tom Lynch, that link up forward, the key in every game style now. That's what the coaches are talking about, having that link up forward.
Yeah, he copped a massive amount of flack last year that he just used to get over the back and he used to get easy kicks and goals. But a lot of people, unless you watch him live, you don't see the work he does up the field. He works up the field. He's that link man from half forward to the wing, and then he works back and he gets goals out the back because he's worked hard up the ground.
Very similar to Josh Jenkins, and as an Essendon supporter, he's a player that got away and it's just shattered. You see Joe Danaher without any help right now, and really wish we kept him.
Yeah, well, Jenkins has still got to come back in. Yeah. So he's been out since round 2 when he copped that nasty injury against Hawthorn. So, I mean, they're averaging 134 points from their 6 games this season. I mean, Jenkins has got to come in. I think McGovern's still out injured at the minute.
Yeah, he's done a hamstring. He'll be back middle of the year.
Yeah, you've got 2 guys to come in. You've got Menzel, who's played a few games this year. He hasn't looked too bad. I mean, you've got so many guys who can hit the scoreboard. And then you've got guys like Sloan, who had 30 plus on the weekend, kicked 3 goals. He's now the Brownlow favourite. I mean, they've got so many avenues to goal, it's not funny.
Yeah, and it's just simply unbelievable. It'll be interesting to watch how it unfolds. And now we're going to switch our attention to the not so good and just some news that's come in. Toby Nankervis has accepted a 1-game ban for Richmond for striking David McKay, and Toby Green's taken the 2 weeks for striking Caleb Daniel on Friday night.
Yeah, I think Nankervis is probably can count himself pretty stiff. I think Nat Fyfe got a $1,000 fine for his elbow on West Coast Elliot Yeo. And I think if you look at the vision, they're very similar. But I think the thing that got Nankervis is that his vision was more inside of the realm of you could see it a bit better, whereas Fyfe was off screen and it was only a little elbow, whereas Nanks probably had a bit more power to it.
We speak about this. Obviously, Nankervis ain't going to win a Brownlow, straight up. But if Fyfe gets that week, our contention for Brownlow, what are your thoughts on that ruling?
Yeah, I think Wayne Carey last night on Talking Footy mentioned that, he felt he got off a few times through his career because, he's a superstar of the competition, and he feels that him and I think Chris Judd was on Triple M this morning. He said that, he feels that a lot of the superstar players that are in, Brownlow contention, your Dangerfield, your Sloanes, your Selwoods, they think that the MRP treats them a bit more lightly than blokes like Nankervis because they want their best players playing footy week in and week out because it's good for the whole of the competition.
But do you think that even if you are suspended, I know it's the best and fairest, but these guys, if you play well all year and you do something silly, they're going to lose their heads at one point. Should they still be eligible for the Brownlow medal?
I don't think if you get suspended, you shouldn't be eligible. I think it's as simple as that because it's tradition. It's the best and fairest. If you've copped a week, you've got to serve it. And you got guys like Corey McKay, who back in '99 was suspended. He won it and he didn't win it. He won it on votes, but he didn't win it because he was suspended. I think if you brought something like that in now, then you've got to go back in history and you've got to give blokes medals that obviously didn't win it because they got suspended. So I think if you're suspended, that's fair enough. You cop your punishment and you have the week off. But I think everybody should be treated fairly, no matter if you're a Nat Fyfe or you're a Toby Nankervis.
Exactly right. Now we're going to move away from the AFL, which, as we do every week, we've got a hot topic. And today we're going to focus on Maria Sharapova, who's back. First tournament since returning from her anti-doping suspension. And she fell in the semi-finals of one of the ATP tournament, WTA, to France's Kristina Mladenovic. And what have you made of her return?
Yeah, so she came back after serving that 15-month drug suspension, which was cut from 2 years, I think, originally. So, yeah, she tested positive for meldonium last year at the Aussie Open.
Yeah, as something James noted to us off-air before, that she actually had been using it for 10 years and then WADA changed their actual code and she didn't realise.
Yeah.
That's something they've got to be so careful of.
Yeah, I think as an elite athlete, you've got to be up to date. Like, I know that there was a few excuses thrown about that, she wasn't aware and she'd already been using it, so she should still be able to. But, if you're an elite athlete, you've got to follow the drug code no matter what sport you're in. So I think Eugenie Bouchard came out, another female tennis player this week. She came out and she labelled Sharapova basically as a cheater. She felt that by the tennis community allowing her back on the court, that it sent the wrong message to young kids that are coming through the sport that, if you cheat, that's fine, you'll serve your ban and we'll welcome you back with open arms. So do you think that elite athletes, if they're found guilty of cheating and they serve their ban, should they be allowed back into their sport once they've served the ban?
Just Sharapova actually did return serve against Bouchard and said she's just way above that. I think it's good to see her backing herself up, but she is a drug cheat. Plain and simply, the facts are there. I think she should have been banned for life. It does set a bad example, especially in a solo sport of tennis, where she was one of the biggest names in the world, one of the best players, who all of a sudden just falls from grace and now she's getting wild cards into tournament. I think it's wrong for, we see our Australian players up and coming, like Jordan Thompson, John Millman, players like that, and these guys work so hard. They're 100-something in the world around that area. And these star players who have been drug cheats are just walking into tournaments.
Yeah, I don't think the 15-month suspension was probably accurate enough time for her to serve. I think 2 years probably would have been a more harsher and more fairer penalty, just for the fact that if you play elite sport at the top level, you shouldn't be taking any form of performance enhancing drugs or any drugs for that matter. You're an elite sportsman. We saw the same with the Essendon Footy Club for the last 2 years. Those guys served their ban, now they're back. I think if you serve a ban, I think it's more per sport, depending which sport you play. I think if the sport body and the sport organisation thinks you've done your time and that's fine, just like a prison sentence.
Yeah.
If they think you're allowed back on the court, I think go ahead. I don't think it's up to other players to determine who should be allowed back on the court and who shouldn't be, or who should be on the field and who shouldn't be. One
thing for sure, when they do meet, it's going to be fiery.
Yeah, I mean, Bouchard's kind of where Sharapova was 10, 15 years ago. She's the up-and-coming, she's the golden girl of the tennis circuit at the minute. I think when they do meet, whether that be the US Open or a smaller card, I think that it's going to be a very, very interesting showdown. And I guess that if there's any more to come, I think Bouchard will have a lot more to say.
Well, just to be about who lets their tennis do the talking. I think that's what players forget. Let your tennis do the talking. Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think I don't think it's right to comment on your opponent. If it's something to do with a game you've just played, then that's fair enough. But off the court, I don't think it's right to. You can have an opinion, but not every opinion needs to be expressed in the media spotlight.
But as you said, that there's media spotlight. That's what, obviously, working in the media, we notice we're going to ask these questions, and that's what provokes these responses.
Yeah. So I think it was Bouchard's come out. I think Murray came out and said something.
Murray as well said she should have to work her way back, just not have it handed to her.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. If you can work your way back and you prove to everyone that you've done the wrong thing and you come back and you want to earn everyone's respect back, I think the best way to do that is to work hard and do the long, tough hours in training and on the court, and that way you might earn some respect back that you may have lost because you were labelled as a cheater.
Exactly right. That's all we've got time for with the sports wrap, so we'll hand back to our host.
Thank you so much for that, boys.
Thank you for that, guys. I thought it was particularly interesting with the tennis player, wasn't it Anna?
Maria Sharapova.
No, Maria Sharapova. Sorry, I was thinking Anna Konikova. They both have funny names.
That's okay.
It's quite interesting that you flat out there said that she was a drug cheat, Brayden. You believe all the evidence is there behind it?
Well, obviously, it's there. If you're getting a 15-month ban, yeah. I think it justifies it. But she's always denied it. That's the one thing.
That's
so we're
true.
just not sure. Evidence.
I just feel like if you're a multi-billion-dollar superstar sports athlete, that someone along the line is in charge of making sure you're not taking performance-enhancing drugs.
Yeah.
Someone.
Yeah, I think her management or even her as herself. She's a grown woman. I know elite athletes have a lot to focus on with their sports, but somewhere along the line, someone should have. Someone in her camp would have known she was taking that for the last 10 years. They should have been onto her I'm sure that WADA lets athletes and their management know that there's an update to the drug code, so I'm sure that someone along the way could have made her aware that she was taking the wrong thing.
Surely you wouldn't skimp on if you had multi-millions of dollars from your sport, you wouldn't skimp on making sure you weren't cheating.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be giving up all my contracts.
Raises some eyebrows for me personally as well.
Right. But boys, before you go, quick question. Who do you guys actually support in the footy?
Essendon, unfortunately. After a weekend, I don't want to speak about
so I'm a Carlton man, so Saturday was a really good day for me.
I'm a gal.
Great. You're the best host we have.
Well, unfortunately, I'm a Collingwood supporter.
Yeah.
But it was a great win on Sunday. Was it Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday.
Sorry.
Yep.
I support...
Week, I think,
obviously a very diehard supporter, watches all the games.
Yeah, I watch all the games, on the couch every weekend, watching the boys play,
In that onesie.
In my panda onesie, yeah. All the time, that black and white colour. Funny story, actually. My cat is a black and white cat, and his name is Bucks. So there you go.
Cat.
But anyway, thanks so much, boys.
Thanks, guys.
Fun speaking.
That is a funny story.
Yeah, it is a funny
Thank you, guys.
No worries.
So you've tuned into the 11th hour. It is 11:45 a.m. Don't forget to tweet us on our Twitter handle at the
11th hour.
At 11th hour _LTU for anything that you would like to. Just some breaking news now too. The floods in the US have found about floods as a result of the tornadoes. There's about 16 people confirmed dead.
Yeah, after the floods savaged through the US.
And many more missing, I believe, as well.
Yeah, that's right. The southern US states are bracing for more kind of wild weather, as well as after some storms, tornadoes and flash flooding, which, obviously already killed 16 people and swept 2 children away, which is quite disappointing and quite sad.
It's terrible. I believe 6 people died in Arkansas. There's, like you were saying, 2 missing children who were inside a truck.
Which...
Yesterday they were looking for the children just yesterday gone, and still no hope. Just looking through flooded waters, big search teams just trying to find these.
Can you imagine that? How tragic it would be,
Think of the parents, poor things.
Yeah, exactly right. It's really sad, and hopefully things get better for the guys over in the US.
And there's more flooding and possible tornadoes as well. So it doesn't look like there's any particular stop to the tragedy that's been ripping through these areas.
Yeah, that's right. And there's been another tragedy that's happened actually in the US in Texas, where at the University of Texas, a man is in custody after allegedly stabbing 1 and wounding 3. At the University of Texas. And
so what was the fuel for this?
I wasn't actually too sure exactly what the fuel was for this, but he is in custody, so I'm sure we'll be seeing more on that story as well, and actually, finding out if there was, a particular kind of thing that he wanted to get out of it.
There seems to be quite a violent trend through America and the school systems with the guns and now stabbing. It doesn't look like anybody is necessarily safe in today's day and age.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly right.
And moving on to a quick report about our federal budget.
Yes.
I just wanted to discuss with you, as we are both university students operating out of a university studio through university.
Yep.
The new budget will be seeing a decrease in funding for tertiary education.
Yeah, and it's quite sad as well that we've seen this. I know we've discussed university deregulation and university fees as well. Quite frequently on the show.
Well, it's a pretty relevant topic for us.
Oh, yeah.
Especially as young people moving in and having to pay this HECS debt that we have looming over our heads. Now, I believe that it's going to be $3 billion cut to university funding from the federal government that's just, what has been leaked about what will come out in the budget, or what might come out in the budget today and then confirmed later next week.
Yeah, that's right, with the budget happening next week in Canberra.
Which will up our university fees.
Yeah.
And some people have been saying it's better than deregulating university fees and taking a cut, the 20% cut But I think that really either is
either
quite
or
crappy.
is just as bad, I think. Yeah.
And it's interesting that the direct beneficiaries of free education, pretty well everyone that would be sitting in government at the moment, are imposing these laws. I just think it's a bit funny.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think it's a bit funny, and I'll be very keen to see what else is on the budget next week as well. And I'll be definitely tuning in on. I think it's on. Oh, I can't actually. Do you know the date of the budget?
The date of the budget? Well, I think some of it's being released today and then more in a week. But no, I'm not entirely sure myself either.
That's right, yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll be both tuning in and watching the budget and seeing what unravels itself in Parliament. And
yes.
Definitely the 7:30 report afterwards is always fun to watch.
Oh, Lee.
Lee Sales.
Oh, Lee. You babe.
Oh, bless her. Bless her cotton socks. She just asks some really hard-hitting questions.
She really does, and she doesn't let up, does she?
Yeah.
She's amazing. She actually has a very great podcast out. I would recommend you give it a listen.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Do you know what's the podcast called?
I can't remember.
Oh, well, anyway, it's got Lee Sales on it, so look it up. But anyway, Scarlett,
yes.
Considering you're our lovely new host on our 11th hour, I wanted to, kind of ask you a few questions about yourself and learn a little bit about yourself.
Please do. Yeah. Go ahead.
So tell me about yourself, your background. Do you work casually? Everything like that.
Well, I've only been in Melbourne for about a year.
Okay.
In Melbourne. I'm really loving it so far. Great people, great friends, acquaintances that I've made, like yourself.
Yeah. So what actual town are you from in Queensland?
It's a place called Emerald.
Emerald. What a lovely name.
Yes. Not green though. It's no Emerald City, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But it's very inland. It's up and in, about 10.5 hours northwest of Brisbane. That's usually how I explain it to Melburnians down here.
Yep. I only know, like I said before, South Morang and Mill Park. That's the only two suburbs I know out of everything.
No idea where they are.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm still pretty fresh.
Exactly right. Yeah.
I came from there, moved down to Melbourne.
And why'd you move down to Melbourne?
Well, uni, and like I said, I'm in the middle of nowhere. So it is quite boring after a while. And Melbourne has so much to offer as far as opportunities are concerned with media, bands. There's bands.
Yeah, there are a lot of bands down here in Melbourne. Yeah, we're a very, very, very big, music kind of.
You're a Melbourne gal then?
Oh, I am a Melbourne gal.
Through and through.
Through and through. Like I was saying, Mill Park.
You bleed Melbourne.
It's in there. I would not replace Melbourne with anything in the world. Melbourne is just a beautiful place.
It is great.
So you started studying at La Trobe this year. Last year. Yep. Sorry. Yeah. And how are you finding it so far?
I love it. I mean, it's so great in that we have the opportunity to put on, for instance, these sort of shows. We've got a really great media department where we get to work hands-on with
people who have worked in the industry.
Totally. People who've worked in the industry. We actually get to use the cameras and do the editing ourselves. And, we have our fantastic control room here. And they're operating all of the behind the scenes things. It's a really, really fantastic opportunity. And I feel like I've really lucked out.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more. I actually started studying at La Trobe in 2015, right after I finished high school. And I wouldn't be anywhere else other than right here because it's just an amazing course. I think we're very, very lucky to have everything that we can, kind of access. I mean, editing and cutting up images and, doing everything like that and actually being on kind of a show like this is really great and getting involved and meeting other students is always great.
What's your dream job, Kristen?
Dream job. I'd love to work at Triple J.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'd love to work at Triple J. I love myself some music, so...
You love yourself some music?
I love myself some music.
You'd have to be soulless not to.
Yep, that's right. And Scarlett, before we finish up the show, give us 2 facts about yourself that no one else knows. Or, you kind of keep to yourself, but you want to share with the audience.
Oh, dear. No.
I've put her on the spot.
You've put me on the spot and I've got no clue. I've got no idea.
Give us...
Okay, I have a teddy bear.
You have a teddy bear. What's its name?
Ted.
His
name's Ted. I've had him since I was 2. And he's travelled everywhere throughout the world with me. He's great.
Oh.
He's got no arms.
How cute.
Yeah.
How cute. All right. Well, anyway, guys, thank you
for
so
tuning
much.
in.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. We've been crispy. and Scarlett for the 11th hour. Again, don't forget to follow us on our Twitter handle and tweet us at 11thhour_LTU. And until next week, we will see you soon.
Thanks so much for joining us, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.